Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. You know that, I know that, and I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and far too many opinions. And if y'all watched my video about hidden true crime and Lauren Matthias
alleging that I was plagiarizing.
God forbid I pronounce a name wrong. Calm down, you guys. It's gonna be okay. However, doesn't matter what I call her, everything in that video still stands, and I am just a lady with opinions, of course. However, today I do want to talk about Lauren from Hidden True Crime and current accusations of plagiarism, and then just a few updates regarding her stalking harassment case, which again, we discussed how okay, that's not stalking and harassment. This is just you being a public figure and freedom of speech and someone posting opinions about you and their experience as your past friend doesn't make that harassment or stalking or threatening. Seems like she's the perpetual victim. Again, we went over that in my last video about her. Here's the thumbnail right here. You can go watch it if you'd like. I personally really liked that video, especially because there were so many videos on it, and her 9-hour live stream, it was just offensive that she did that long of a stream and it needed to be condensed. Do you smell that? That's the holiday season. I'm obsessed with it. The twinkle lights, the crisp, fresh air, yes, even here in Florida, and having wrapped presents under the tree, hanging out with my kid, my husband, our dog. You know what I don't love about the holiday season? All of these scams that are afoot. There are so many. And you know what doesn't make it easier? These data brokers out here selling your information to scammers and spammers and hackers and other turds of human beings that are just trying to get you. However, thanks to the sponsor of this video, Aura, they are all-in-one digital security. They can actually go ahead and do that hard work for you. So they can actually opt out of all of these websites that are sharing your information on there and help keep you safe online. Not only that, it's also password management, VPN services with over 100 different locations, antivirus. They have real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking. I have been working real hard on my credit this year, and thanks to Aura, I have been able to raise my credit quite a bit and keep track of everything. Aura also includes 24/7 US-based support, so just in case something does go wrong, they are there to help you. And then also they include $5 million in identity theft insurance protection too. So go ahead and either scan the QR code that's been on the screen or click the link in my description box, which is aura.com/CCSUAREZ, and take advantage of that 2-week free trial and keep yourself safe. Not only this holiday season, but well into the new year too, girl. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. Thank you to you guys for supporting my sponsors. And now back to the video. Anyways, so let's break it down, some people involved, and the short backstory here. Hidden True Crime is a true crime YouTube channel run by Lauren Matthias with assistance from her husband, often referred to as Dr. John. ELISE is a true crime creator on YouTube as well. Grayson Yor has been an assistant producer/producer to both of these YouTube channels. Grayson worked for ELISE for 4 years as an assistant producer, or production assistant, if you will. Approximately 1 year ago, Grayson left her position working for ELISE and joined Lauren Matthias's true crime channel, Hidden True Crime. Now, there have been a lot of things that people have said about Lauren Matthias and her production assistant, executive producer, whatever you want to call her, Grayson. But in my opinion, just from everything that I've seen, me and my researcher Kelly have done on this, it really does seem like these two people, Lauren and Grayson, they get far too close to sources, to victims. And when it comes to the true crime space, it's borderline inappropriate to invite them over to dinner, to do this, do that. And don't get me wrong, as someone who is technically, yes, in the true crime space, but I mean, I talk about scammers and stuff like that. I don't get into the homicide aspect of it because that's just, I can't do that. I'm not strong enough to do that and make that content. But I do know how it can be hard sometimes to not cross those boundaries because you do, start to feel protective over these people. You are going through these motions with them and these experiences with them, and it can be hard. However, it really, really seems, in my professional opinion, that Lauren really, and Grayson especially, both of them really have crossed some boundaries when it comes to getting too close to sources and things like that. And it's really gross. Now, if you're not in on the true crime community tea or drama, I don't know. I mean, it's not tea and drama. It's quite large ethical issues. There have been allegations of plagiarism, and a lot of people have come out and shown, I'd say, pretty convincing arguments and evidence that it seems as though Hidden True Crime, Lauren and Grayson, have been plagiarizing ELISE's videos. And what's the common link there? Grayson has access to scripts from when she worked with ELISE for her channel and her content. So let's go over some of the plagiarism videos in question. So Hidden True Crime, the title is Teen Burglary Turns Deadly and Caught on Camera, Self-Defense or Ambush, the Elm Street Murders. The video was posted to YouTube on November 25th, 2025. Grayson was working for Lauren Matthias at this time and allegedly had access to this script while employed by Lauren, meaning had access to ELISE's script. And then ELISE's channel, the video is titled Unhinged, Secret Recordings, Tauntings, and Murder. What really happened at the house next door. And this was posted on June 6th, 2023. Grayson was working for ELISE at the time that this video was posted. And again, had access to this post-filming. And now here's a video, a YouTube short that actually compares the Elm Street videos. And huge thank you to Everyday with Jay for clipping this, and I appreciate them so much for doing that.
This is Lauren's latest video on Hidden True Crime. And the title is Teen Burglary Turns Deadly and Caught on Camera. Oh, but wait, you have to hit the thumbs up before I can tell you this. So we have this one, Teen Burglary Turns Deadly and Caught on Camera, Self-Defense or Ambush, the Elm Street Murders. Okay. Now, if you go back 2 years on ELISE, we have Unhinged, Secret Recordings, Taunting, and Murder. What really happened at the house next door? Now, you may on first glance say, what do these two videos have in common? Well, Jay put both transcripts into ChatGPT because they seem very, very similar when you listen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a few minutes of Lauren, then I'm going to play a few minutes of Annie, and then we're going to look at what ChatGPT told me about these two transcripts. And it's important to note that Grayson actually worked for ELISE. So she has her work, if you will. Who did it better? The plot definitely thickens. Okay, so let's listen to a couple of lines from Lauren. Here we go.
Some cases make us take a hard look at what people do when they're scared or angry and push us to question just how far someone should be able to go when they say they're defending their home. And few cases bring that debate into sharper focus than what happened in Littlefield's, Minnesota on Thanksgiving Day in 2012. It began the way many rural crime stories do. A homeowner on edge after a series of break-ins and two teenagers who made a dangerous, life-altering choice. Haley Kiefer and her cousin Nicholas Brady broke into the home of 64-year-old Byron David Smith, likely expecting to grab what they could and get out. But let's scoot over to Annie. This is 2 years ago. This is ELISE now. Listen.
Today's case may be a bit of a controversial one, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's a long one, so get ready. We can all agree that a person's home should be the place where they feel the most safe and the most secure. The right to bear arms is a very sensitive topic.
This is regular
but most
speed.
people would agree that everyone has the basic right to protect their home. On Elm Street, in the city of Little Falls, Minnesota, after a retired man had been burglarized nearly a dozen times, he started to feel more and more violated and afraid in his own home. So with little help from law enforcement and at his wit's end, he decided to take matters into his own hands by securing his home the best that he could. He armed himself in his home and waited for the next inevitable break-in. But this time, he would be ready. In this story, we will discuss this truly tragic and personally, I think, avoidable situation and how two teens' bad choices resulted in a real-life nightmare on Elm Street.
So I took the two transcripts, entire transcripts, and put them into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT found the exact matches.
Just help a brother out here.
Okay. So we have exact match is going to be the yellow heart. Paraphrase or minor changes are the green heart. Unique, only one version, is the blue heart. So we're going to start and we're going to just, kind of go through this. This one is the intro of the case context. In the original, some cases make us take a hard look, ... Lawrence is going to be B, suspected copy. Some cases make us take a hard look, ... Exact match. Right here in the Littlefield's background. Here's the original. Quote, "It began the way many rural crime stories do." In Lawrence, same phrasing. Another exact match. Description of teens. Kylie Kyer and her cousin Nicholas Brady, ... Same exact match. Bryson's reaction and fear. Quote, a man who would later say he genuinely believed he had reached his breaking point, ... Slightly reworded, same meaning. Paraphrased. Audio recordings and evidence. Prosecutors argued that this wasn't a split-second act. Same concept, wording slightly different. Paraphrased. The debate on self-defense. Quote, many people see it differently. Lauren's, essentially the same. Brian's history and military. Full biography of Brian, awards, career. Almost identical phrasing. Exact match. Byron's property and summer jobs. In 2011, Byron noticed a group of local boys, ... Mostly identical, minor differences. Teens' substance use and petty crime. Quote, over time, however, Byron began to notice small items disappearing, ... Matches closely. They have it listed as an exact match. Security system and paranoia. The original, quote, by December 2012, Byron's security system was finally complete. Same events described in Lauren's, slight wording differences. Thanksgiving Day events. Quote, around 12:30 p.m., Byron heard the unmistakable sound. Very close, minor rewording. Paraphrased. Aftermath and legal. Quote, in the original. After the discovery of the bodies in Byron Smith's basement, ... Mostly identical, exact match. The lawsuit and defamation portion. Quote, in the original, Byron Smith, now 77, has filed a civil defamation lawsuit. Same structure, small word changes. Paraphrase. Preliminary analysis. You ready for this? Roughly 50 to 60% of B is copied word for word from A. B is Lauren, A is Annie. 50 to 60% of this video, y'all. And not only that, 30 to 35% is lightly paraphrased, but clearly mirrors Annie's. Look how much is original. Only 5 to 10% appears unique or added in. So yes, B heavily relies on A, with small areas of paraphrasing and minor additions. Hoo-wee. Right? How many other of these scripts has she used that Grayson has possession of?
Now, did Grayson and Lauren plagiarize Annie-Elise? In my opinion, I am not stating this as a fact, but in my opinion, I do think that it is quite clear after comparing them side by side. It really seems like they plagiarized it, or at least changed a few words and sentences, which again, just because you don't like say something verbatim doesn't mean it's not plagiarism. Like, yeah, you can copy my homework, but make it your own, except for Annie didn't give permission to copy your homework. It is interesting as well that it seems like it's videos from like 2 years ago. 3 years ago, you know, things like that, where it's like, okay, are you maybe thinking that like people wouldn't catch that? Like, y'all got to be smarter than that. Now, there is the small, tiny, little itty bitty chance. This could be a possibility that Grayson gave Lauren the script and Lauren didn't know. That's a possibility that could happen. However, I think that it is important to reference back to like the lies and twisting of narratives. And in my opinion, I don't think that Lauren or Grayson are reliable narrators. And I do think, especially Grayson, because she reached out to me, so we'll get to that in a minute. That conversation was so weird, so weird. But anyway, so I really don't think that there's a big chance there that Lauren would be like completely oblivious or anything like that, especially when it comes to like the exaggeration, the ridiculous theatrics and all that. And from what I've seen behind the scenes, from what I have, you know, heard from other content creators and what I saw at CrimeCon with my own goddamn eyes. I was right there in the mix of it, you guys. Right there in the mix of it, okay? And good Lord. Like I was literally talking to Annie and then someone came up and like said something to her. And I looked at one of her production assistants, Danny. I love him so much. He's so sweet. I was like, what the fork is going on? Like, what is going? He's like, It was crazy. So that was when Lauren called the cops. That was crazy. But yeah, so just seeing like all of the theatrics and hearing from like other people in the industry, to me at least, it's clear like who the common denominator is, especially from like all of these other people who like I respect the shit out of and who I do see as trustworthy and who I do admire professionally. And just seeing the way that Lauren has acted, and I really feel like her and Grayson just feed off of each other, and it's really weird. It is also very funny that while all of this was happening at CrimeCon, I didn't realize, like, because I'm not on that side of it. I'm on the YouTuber side of it. And like Lauren isn't really, like she kind of is, but like not really, I feel like. So me and Kimberly are just, you know, hanging out over here. Me and her husband and her and a few other people from other people's teams are like drinking and having fun and, you know, talking shit about random stuff about ourselves. And then, you know, taking pictures of people and all that and like pictures with each other. And then someone comes up and is like, Lauren just called the cops. And I'm like, what the fuck? Can you not? Can we just have a good time, please? What's going on? So now later on, then realizing, I'm like, oh my God, that's what y'all were talking about. I'm late to the party. And it's not a party. It's an intervention. It's not a fun time. However, I will be at CrimeCon Las Vegas and I'm very excited about it. So if you want to go, you totally should. Can't wait. I feel like I need to get Ray-Ban glasses. It's going to be awful. Okay. While researching stuff for this video, I was trying to get some things straightened out because there has been a lot of not miscommunication, but a lot of wires crossed when people are recalling like certain things that have been claimed. Like someone, for instance, made the claim that Grayson was the one who was putting money into Lori Vallow. She's a murderer. She murdered multiple people, including her 2 children, and she's in prison. And so apparently Grayson, the production assistant of Hidden True Crime, was putting money into that lady's commissary and like buying her stuff and like pretending like she's a Mormon to like talk to the lady and try to like become her friend. And then also people don't realize allegedly that it was like something that I'm hearing too is like, no, that was Lauren too. Like Lauren was also doing that. Listen, as someone who interviews people a lot, I get it. Like sometimes you have to wear many hats. Sometimes you gotta, I don't want to say be manipulative, but sometimes a little bit. You gotta, it's like when the detective brings a pizza to the murderer, right? In prison to like get him to tell him where the bodies are, right? Sometimes you got to do that. However, that's insane what they were allegedly doing in order to like get an exclusive statement. And then on the outside, you're like planning her children's funeral or memorial service or whatever. Like that is so wrong and so hypocritical and disgusting. And it makes me feel so gross, so disgusting. But again, like I said, from what I've heard, these people get very parasocial, cross boundaries. And I really feel like they just like feed off of each other with the drama and they want that close proximity and like maybe feed off of that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's disgusting though. Okay. Now I did follow Grayson on Instagram to maybe find something out. Just, you know, why not? She can decline it if she wants, but just to see her pictures, you know, see what's what, to kind of remember like, who the hell is this girl again? Did I talk to her at CrimeCon? I don't know. Whatever. So then color me surprised when I didn't even DM her. Honestly, I had actually forgotten that I friend requested her. Yikes. The ADHD got me again, but she DM'd me. So we have some statements to share, some attempts, in my opinion, what I think is manipulation, and then some insults to share because that conversation took a turn. So before we get into that though, let's discuss what off the record means. Y'all have probably heard me say that a lot. You know, with my job, I've gotten more into the like journalistic aspect of my job lately, especially with investigating and co-producing the Elizabeth podcast, which is about the serial con artist. We love to dislike a scammer, right? About the serial con artist Elizabeth Teckenbrock. Season 2 is out now. You should definitely go give it a listen. Season 2, episode 4 is probably out by now, by the time this video goes up. So you've heard me say off the record a lot. Now, the thing with having off the record conversations is both parties gotta agree to it, okay? Someone can't just come up to me and be like, hey, off the record, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't agree to an off the record conversation. Like, what are you doing? That intent is important. Okay. Intention, consent, whatever, so on and so forth. But let's go over to NBCU Academy. What is that, you might ask? NBCU Academy, Advancing Career Excellence in Journalism, Media, and Tech. And we're going to read this article, On the Record, Off the Record, explained by Chuck Todd. Good old Chuck. Reporters must agree in advance about whether the interview is off the record. For example, a source might say something on the record and then ask for it to be off the record. You are not obligated to not use that information. Set ground rules early. Terms can confuse people. Use plain language to explain if what they say will make it to publication or on air. Journalists should always consider why a source wants to be off the record or offer only background information. Sometimes a source is afraid of getting in trouble by publishing their name and identity. As reporters, our job is to see if we can get them to give us information we can publish and use on air. So just because someone declares it doesn't make it a legally binding contract. And if I specifically say, I'm not interested in having an off-record conversation with you, I would like everything to be recorded and on the record. And then the person continues to say, no, off the record, and then offer up information, that ain't none of my business. However, it is your business, because here's the conversation I had with Grayson. This is weird. It's weird. I need y'all's opinions and theories of what she was trying to do, because it's so strange. And I've already talked to people, because she tries to say that she hasn't talked to anyone, and she like essentially kind of wants to give me an exclusive, kind of like off the record. And it's like, why? You don't know me? So Grayson says, hi Chelsea, this is an off record message. I saw you requested to follow me. If you are planning on doing another video on hidden true crime, I'm happy to be a confidential source for you. Off record, there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of confusing dynamics, so I'm happy to clarify and hand over evidence if you desire, so that it can be added to your context. Once again, please keep this message off record. My mental health has been significantly impacted over the last few weeks, and I've chosen to not be online hardly at all, which is why I didn't see your following request until now. I've only talked to one other person, but for some reason, when I saw your request, I decided to reach out. If you have any questions, again, all off record, you can call me. And I responded and said, hi Grayson, thanks for reaching out. Unfortunately, we would only be interested in an on the record and recorded meeting/call. Would you care to provide a statement regarding the overwhelming amount of evidence pointing to a potential history of plagiarizing Annie, not me using voice to text and it autocorrecting to Annie Elizabeth, Annie Elise's videos since your employment with Hidden True Crime? Now, I had set those terms. I am only interested what we're saying being on the record. So what she should have said then was no comment. However, this is manipulation at its finest. This is ridiculous. It absolutely ridiculous. Like, I've told you that all of this is going to be on record from the get-go, from 10 a.m. on Monday morning. So then she said, thanks for reaching out. This message is off record. I've literally told you, no, it's not. No, it is not. The person who's asking the questions sets the stage there, not you. I'm not interested in anything on record. Then stop talking to me. Then stop saying anything else, nor providing a statement. However, then she continues. Then she keeps going. If this doesn't show you I don't want to say the lack of ethics, but the lack of understanding when it comes to like this person and their work, just thinking that you can say that when it's like, no, I literally already told you at the beginning of the conversation. I set those ground rules. I laid that out. Literally first thing I said, and then you continued. I said it again though, so don't worry. But feel free to go check out Annie's Emily Pike script, posted 3 days after our Emily Pike script, and run the comparison. So now Grayson is accusing Annie Elise of plagiarism. She claims it was breaking news and she didn't even have time to put makeup on. Despite the case not being breaking news, AI shows it was plagiarism. Some of the research in our video was not able to be found online. We called the group home and got information only we had. And she said, Annie and I have had our own conversation regarding the accusations a couple of weeks ago. The Emily Pike script and employment issues from within her company that I have chosen to not air out or take action on out of respect for her and her growing business and friendship we had. Girl, I think it's clear that you're the problem. Thank God you left that company. Lord. There is a lot more to this story, and a source who is another former employee that had been trying to twist things for over a year now. I'd be very careful with your sources and what they're trying to do to save themselves. And then she sent a screen recording of, I guess, both of the scripts, which is interesting. But here's the thing is that if you're covering the same case, and this happens, I mean, a lot with like scammer videos and stuff like that, right? Even social media commentary videos. Like there are times when me, Hannah Alonso, Josh from Dad Challenge podcast, podcast, Angelica Oles, Marky, Do We Know Them podcast, even Trisha and Oscar and Moses from Just Trish. There's times where all of us will cover something within the same week. And a lot of even Kiki Chanel too. Me, her, and like 3 other people just put up videos, and T-Spill and all these other pages just put up videos on the same topic within the past 2 days. And do we all have like kind of the same talking points? Kind of, yeah. But the phrasing is different. Also, most of us don't watch each other's videos. Most people who, Robert Welsh is a great example of this. Like, he primarily does makeup content. He does watch makeup content, but the content that he enjoys most is me. Hey, babe. But the content that he enjoys most is commentary. Like, I do social media commentary. The videos that I like most are still commentary, but typically it's like comedy commentary. Like, I like the Basement Yard podcast, and I like video podcasts and stuff like that. And that's really like what I watch the most of, because it's just, brain dump. I'm just hanging out with my friends is how I feel, right? That sounds depressing. So if you watch all of the same topics from different people, or like same stories from different people, you're gonna find similarities and, some of the same points. That doesn't mean it's plagiarized. However, I personally do think that 1, Grayson having access to those old scripts, and 2, the amount of times that the flow of the video and the like hook phrases, like those like goosebump walk away, like not catchphrases, but those ones that like really hook you, like those have been said like in an Elise video 2-3 years ago when Grayson was working for her, and then now in the past year in a video from Lauren. It's just very interesting, and it comes off more like genuine in Annie's. And realistically, it's probably just because I'm biased because I like Annie and I don't like Lauren. But with their personalities, having loosely interacted with Lauren, like being in the same vicinity as her, seeing how she is, and then having talked to Annie quite a bit, it just seems more natural coming from Annie. It seems like a script of like, okay, this was done, like made for you, Like, I feel like it would be unnatural if like I was, for instance, if Hannah Alonso had one, she would never do this obviously, but if she was to read off a script that like I wrote, that was like in my tone and like for me, it wouldn't feel natural, right? And vice versa. Y'all would come to my channel and be like, why are you being so nice? Who is holding you hostage? Blink twice. I think that is very telling as well. However, Grayson said, again, also off record, please for the love of God, stop. That's not how that works, Grayson. Lauren wrote a Redditor asking them to take their post about Annie plagiarizing her on Emily Pike down. I don't care. We got so many emails about her copying that script, but we asked them to take down the accusation and we never contacted her. Even though I was so upset my work was recycled. I cried in her office about it. Again, irrelevant. Lauren said it didn't matter. Justice for Emily did. We haven't plagiarized anything, and we stand by that and could prove that if it ever rose to legal, given that plagiarism is such a big deal. Again, I'd be very careful on who your sources are. Girl, my source is y'all. My source is looking at the videos. That's the source. I ain't talking to Annie about this. I am, however, messaging her and being like, hey girl, give me the info of who did like your set design and stuff for your booth at CrimeCon. Did y'all see that? It was so freaking cute. I want to do something like that so bad. And I was like, oh my God, we can do that. That's so cute. Anyways, so Annie's a very, very, very professional. She's a very professional lady and a fellow Bob, if you will. Anyways, so, I mean, y'all know I'm on the side of the truth. If a friend of mine is, or a colleague of mine is doing something nefarious, I'll probably text them and get a statement, and I'm still going to call them out for it. Look at Bunny XO. If she does some dumb shit, I'm going to text her about it and be like, hey, you doing some dumb shit? And then I'll tell her this is on the record. We can also have an off the record conversation too, of course, but obviously say all that first. But on the side of the truth, that's it. Okay. Because I know there's going to be some people who are like, you're biased. Everyone's biased. You think Grayson's not biased? Of course, everyone's biased. Everyone has a bias. That's how the world works. Anyways, I did want to share everything with you though, because I really think that this is such a weird response to me literally saying multiple times, I said everything except for shut up. Like, I was this close to being like, stop DMing me. You're digging yourself a hole, and it's not like, I've told you, this is on record. Like, and I'm not interested in having an off the record conversation with you. Like I'm not consenting to this. You can't just push that on me. That's not how that works, ma'am. Good Lord. Okay. So again, be careful who your sources are. Again, it's literally the videos themselves speak for themselves. Like, it's there. Lord, there is someone that has done some very unethical things, and they're trying to save themselves by rewriting the narrative and distorting information. That sounds spooky. I don't know about that, girl. You can see all of the sources for the one script in question in the description of our Byron Smith video. It is line by line annotated source list, which cool. Love that. But when you're covering the same story, like, it's absolutely possible for you both to have the same sources. Like, that's absolutely possible. Also, like, as long as you are citing, like, for instance, if I'm going to use a clip from someone else's video or cite like, oh, well, this person said this in this interview with this, or they said this in this article, like, articles, other publications do that all the time. As long as you cite it, it's not plagiarism. But also, it's 100% possible for you to talk to people, the same people that other people have talked to. So acting like you're, just eating, and you're not. Again, I'm willing to have an off-record conversation with you about this to share some more, because I believe there is a lot more to know, and I could tell you a lot that you'd probably want to know. Anyways, so I'm sure if you watch my channel, you know what my response was. Y'all remember when that whole rug lady thing happened? That the lady who thought there was rug with a dead body in it in her backyard on TikTok, and then she was like crying about the Do We Know Them podcast covering her, even though like, hey, you went viral, calm down. And I like asked her for a statement or something. I think that's what happened. I don't even remember. Anyways, she like went off in my DMs, and my response was just like, scram. Get out of here, lady. I'm not interested. Anyways, so I said, Grayson, I am under no obligation to keep these message off record / private. That's true. Just because you keep saying off record, as I have already not agreed to that. That's not fair to me. The first thing I said was, no, I'm not interested in having an off the record conversation. I'm interested in having an on record conversation. And that's it. And then she continued against my will. I was forced into this conversation. And I said, I'm not interested in speaking with you unless it is a recorded conversation that we both consent to. Have a great week. And she said, I'm glad to know you're not a real journalist who refuses to keep off record messages off record. What do you think this is? Europe? This is the US, baby. There ain't nothing here that says I can't show a text, especially when I already said it's not going to be off record. But feel free to share about Emily Pike, because I think the public should know at this point. So let Grayson know what you think in the comments below, because she wants you to know, apparently. I said, I didn't agree to anything being off the record, Grayson. You offered that information after I told you I was not going to have an off record conversation with you. And she said, exactly. And when someone says something is off record to a journalist, that's all that's needed. Be well. No, I specifically told you that our conversation was not going to be off record, but that's cool. Uh-oh. Ooh, breaking news. Breaking news.
It says order of intent to dismiss for unsuitability. Ooh, Crusher, you won, baby. It was dismissed. The CCB is saying this does not fit. This is unsuitable. You fucking won, girl. Listen. Order of intent to dismiss for unsuitability. The Copyright Claims Board has concluded that this claim is unsuitable for determination by the board under 17 USC 1506 F3 because the claimants did not submit, and the claimant is Lauren Matthias in Hidden True Crime, did not submit a complete registration application to the Copyright Office before filing the claim. The board can only hear a copyright infringement claim if, before the claim was filed, the legal or beneficial owner of the copyright applied to register the copyright by delivering a completed application, deposit, and fee to the Copyright Office. If the claimants did not provide all three required items, this claim cannot be successfully amended and cannot proceed. The claimants allege infringement of a motion picture or audiovisual work and state that an application to register the work has been submitted to the Copyright Office with request number blank. However, Copyright Office records for that application do not show that the claimants uploaded a copy, the deposit, of the work before filing this claim. If a completed application for registration, including the deposit, was not delivered to the Copyright Office before the claim was filed, the board cannot hear the claim. Therefore, the board intends to dismiss this claim without prejudice for unsuitability. So what does without prejudice mean again? Can she file again or can she not? The claimants may request that the board reconsider its determination of unsuitability by January 5th. A request to reconsider must be filed on the ECCB and may not exceed 7 pages, not including any relevant documents filed as attachments in support. And they must meet the requirements set forth in this law. However, as a complete application for registration is required before the initial filing of an infringement claim before the board, a request to reconsider would only be appropriate if the claimant can show that a complete application, fee, and deposit were submitted for the allegedly infringed work before this claim was filed on November 11th, 2025. So in other words, you can request it, but they're saying if you haven't registered it before you filed this complaint, then your request to review is not going to do you any good. Alternatively, the claimants may proceed with a new claim by first uploading a copy of the work in the Copyright Office registration system, and after receiving confirmation of a complete application completing a new claim filing in CCB. So right now, I mean, I guess if she decides to refile it, she would have to pay the fee, register it with the Federal Copyright Board. But as of right now, they have dismissed it. Congratulations, Kresha. We all knew it was bullshit.
So that is going to be it for today's video. So if you enjoyed, let me know. I know this was our second hidden true crime video, and I personally think all this is fascinating. I'm not a fan of those people. I don't think that Grayson's DMs to me prove anything other than like that she was possibly I think her intention, in my opinion, I think that her intention was to try to like sway the narrative behind the scenes. Like that's why else would you have an off record or try to keep pushing for an off record conversation other than like planting those seeds, right? And it's just gross. But then also like you don't see other people doing that. And also I know she said she's only talked to one other person. I've already talked to other people that they've said they've talked to her. So it's like you're lying, possibly. I know I've said in my opinion a billion times in this video, these are just theories. This is just my interpretation of what's out there. I don't think they are being truthful. I think that they didn't think that they'd be caught doing that. That's really gross, and I don't like that. I think that the ethics and quality of their work is not very good. I've heard from a few people that like apparently both of them are essentially like hiding out in a hotel. And listen, if you have received death threats, I know I have, but it just seems pretty wild to like, why are y'all in hiding? There doesn't seem to be a need for that. Like, why are y'all in hiding? Like their relationship together is weird. And this is about to be a controversial take here. It's giving Jody and Ruby, especially with the Mormonism tied in there. I'm going to need y'all to get it together. Also, Mormons being in true crime is so fascinating to me. So fascinating. Wild. It's like when Jehovah's Witnesses or like agree that like Scientology is a cult or like Mormonism is a cult, or even when Mormons, talk about that stuff or like believe that as well. It's like, how does that not challenge your belief system? Like, for instance, I've become very much not religious. Like I am still spiritual. I still like pray and all that, but like organized religion, not for me, dog. Not for me. And don't get me wrong, we still occasionally will go to like Christmas Eve service. Listen, I'm a hoe for twinkling lights, all right? I like those traditions and things like that. And like I said, I do pray, but it's more of like a me and them situation, not like I don't need to do all that. So I don't know. I just find it very interesting. And the reason I was saying about the like less religion and more just like spirituality is because like me researching cults and all of that really, really, really helped me see a lot of things and a lot of contradictions and hypocrisy and, dangerous groupthink and stuff like that when it comes to religion. Not necessarily like the church I'm a part of that I'm like a member of. I mean, I got my kid baptized, but still it's very interesting. And I just don't understand how someone, in this case, Lauren, I'm going to call her out. I don't understand how they could like still be practicing Mormons when you're someone who covers true crime and like knows more about like those cults and stuff. The LDS stuff, like that cult aspect of that was covered at CrimeCon. So it's like, how do you not experience cognitive dissonance with that? Maybe they do, but that's an aspect of this that I find truly wild. Anyways, I just got a crazy update about a video that I actually just posted today. So I need to go pull some court records and fill out some FOIA requests, not FOIA. We're not that fancy. We don't have a foyer. Girl, if you have a foyer in your house, a foyer, you rich. Okay, calm down. Ugh, one day. and it'll be big enough to have one of those big ass Christmas tree. Oh, Balsam Hill calling my name, girl. 15-foot tree, all boned up for that. You know what else I'm boned up for? You. I'm boned up for you. So you should get used to that. But that's only if you're subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, I will be taking note and I will be sending Grace into your house to yell at you that she wants an off-record conversation. Even though you're like, ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Who are you? So she's coming to your house. I will be making a voodoo doll of you if you are not subscribed as well. If you don't comment, I'm going to scream. And I'm not going to stop screaming until I post my next video. So you better get used to it. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this. And please know that you are, if you're subscribed, this pep talk's for you. If you're not, you're dead to me. Please log off. Throw your computer in a fire. And if you are subscribed though, please know that I know this time of year is rough. And I really hope that you are doing well. And I do want to give back to my audience. Jesse and Lily from the Do We Know Them podcast actually have inspired me to do this. So today I will be going to get, actually, no, I'm going to wait. Actually, I'm going to wait until the 22nd. Yeah, I'm going to wait until the 22nd to do my angel tree stuff because I like to take care of all the ones that are left, basically. Hopefully there aren't, but like, it'd be nice if there wasn't, but still, I like to take care of the ones that are left. You know, no one's left behind. But I think I want to do something to give back to my community. And obviously the people who stay till the very end of my videos for the pep talks and things like that are the ones who are like ride or die and are here. And I'm just so thankful for y'all. I am not going to cry, but I feel it happening inside my nose. However, oh gosh, don't do it. We hit 200,000 subscribers this year and I'm just so thankful for that. And hold on, I got to suck the feelings back in. Push it back down. Push those feelings back down all the way to my balls. Okay. All right. They're back down there. Sorry, they won't come out again. But I really do want to do something. So I am basically just going to copy Lily and Jesse. So basically I'm just going to copy what they've done because it seems like a pretty good way to go about it. So if you comment down below, Feral, F-E-R-A-L, you only have to do it once. If you do it multiple times, don't do that. You do it once, then you're entered and it will be generated randomly. I'm just going to use the same generator thing they used. And again, literally just copying them, reheating their nachos, if you will. It's what Trisha says. But I'm going to do that. And how much should we do it for? I don't make as much money as they do, so I can't do as much as they do, and I can't do it every week. But today is the 11th, and so this video might go up on the 12th or the 15th. So let's do that. And on the 22nd, I will pick a winner from each video who is going to win $200. So yeah. I will announce it on the 22nd. I'll generate one random person from each video from the comments, and each video is going to have a different code word that you have to leave in the description box. And the winner from each video, randomly generated, you don't got to trauma dump. You ain't got to leave your story. If you want to, that's fine. That's cool. You'll receive $200 if you are randomly selected as a winner. You only need to enter once. If you do it a bunch of times, don't do that. I'll make it so you can only win once. But obviously comment on all the videos. There will be a different code word each video, but for this video, the code word is feral, F-E-R-A-L, and that'll be in the comments below. Now, the code word announcement for Chelsmas won't be at the end of every video. It'll be snuck in here and there. It might not even be like verbally announced. It might just be on the screen somewhere. Who knows? Not me. Anyways, because I just came up with this idea from copying my friends. All right, so that's $200 to a lucky winner, and that will be announced on the 22nd. And when you comment, I will auto-generate it. I will then find your comment, and through there, I will email you, figure out how to, Venmo it to you, PayPal it to you, things like that. All right, that's it. Appreciate you. Thanks for being wonderful, and I really appreciate this community and all of you feral ferrets. All right. Is that what we're calling each other now? I guess so. That's weird. Anyways, stay spicy, stay feral, maybe stay unhinged, delusional, and assertive above all else. Okay. I'm tripping over my words. Okay. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.